Okay, so you have worked on Java 8, right?
Yeah, I have worked on it.
So in Java 8, let's say we have two interfaces, interface A and interface B, and they both have same default method, right? And suppose a class is there. That class implements both interfaces. All right. Now suppose we want to print the value which is inside the default method. So how JVM will know that which method it has to print? You understood the question?
Yeah, so basically, we have two interfaces and they have the same method,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a class, and that class is implementing both of the interfaces. So we want to print that common method, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, this kind of situation normally we say as diamond problem. And in Java 8, if two interfaces have same default method and a class implements both interfaces, then normally like Java compiler will throw the error, compilation error. So it will
Mm-hmm.
ask to override the that method, and forcefully we will have to override that method, and there in that method, like we have to say like which interface method we want to call. Like suppose we have interface A and interface B, so we will have to declare their interface A dot super and then that method name. So like this way that compiler error will go, and we can decide that which interface default method has to be called.
Okay. 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 So why do you think the private method was introduced in Java interface?
Private in interface.
Yes.
Yeah, private was introduced to support mostly the whatever the logics which has been written inside the static and default methods, which was introduced in Java 8, and this private was introduced in Java 9 actually. So sometimes what happens is like suppose we are writing any logic in default or static method, and that logic gets bigger and bigger, and we want that to separate out to like how normally we write in the normal classes. If there is a bigger logic, so we split it into the parts, so that to keep it nice and neat and clean, right? Any logic is repetitive within the uh, methods, right? So what we can do, that we can write a private method within the interface, and it is not accessible outside actually. So only that interface methods can use it, and we can further continue with our code. Yeah, so basically this is used for code reusability within the interface, and also for the more readable and maintainable code, and to avoid any kind of duplication within the logics.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so when we should go for default method and when we should go for the static method?
Yeah, so we can use default method whenever we have the scenario like we want to provide the backward compatibility for older code, and we don't want the implementing classes force them to override the this default method. So it's up to the implementing classes, so they can either use the default implementation or they can override it, so we don't force it. But in case of static method, the classes which are implementing this interface, they cannot be overridden by implementing classes. And also the way of calling that static method is different. So we call is similar to how we do for the classes. So we call them using the interface name and then dot the method name. Yeah, so this is the difference and why we use
Okay, what is variable argument in Java?
a variable argument. Yeah, so suppose we have any method, we want it to accept any number of parameters, and we are not sure that the calling methods will be passing how many number of parameters of same type. Then we use this variable argument. So we can use like three dots um, after the parameter type. So basically it takes all that arguments as an array, and we can write our code further in that, maybe using for each loop, and each argument we can iterate, and we can get, I mean, each argument data.
Okay, so in public static void main, we have a parameter, right? A string array. So can we replace that string array in main method with the variable argument?
String array, technically yes, we can replace that, and it will not also throw any kind of error as well. It will run perfectly fine. But uh, in I mean, this is not the recommended way to use. So in Java specifications, they have clearly said that we should strictly use a string args, string array args, not the variable argument. So we should use that only, and it is not a good practice for the main method, and we should stick to like standard string array args, that signature. Using that, we can ensure the compatibility with the Java runtime and all environments. So we can, but we should not use. Yeah.
Okay, suppose we have a class test, okay, and it has a static method, okay, and suppose we are creating the object of this test class with null reference, okay, like test object equal to null. That's it. Now, suppose we say that object dot that static method. So do you think it will work fine, or you think any problem will come? So how do you think it will behave?
So we are trying to call using a null object reference, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So in case of a static, uh, I think it should work fine, because the static is the member of the class. So it doesn't matter if any object has been assigned with null. So I think it will work fine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, what is equals and has code contract?
Yeah, equals and has code contract, nothing but whenever suppose we are overriding equals, then we should also override has code method from the object class. So we should always have both of these methods overridden. So whenever we use the uh, collections like hash map, hash set, hash table, and all that, so in order to work them correctly, we should use overriding both of these always, equals and hash code.
Okay, can you tell me one scenario why only overriding equals itself is not enough, but we also have to override hash code? Why we cannot override only equals? Can you explain me? Or create one scenario and tell me?
Yeah, let's say we have one student class, and let's say it has two properties or two variables. One is roll number, one is the name. We have to create the list of it, and suppose later on we have to perform the comparison between these between the student objects. So for that purpose, we want to override the equals and hash code method. But let's suppose we are only overriding equals as of now. If roll number is equal, then we say it is equal. Now if we do not override hash code, so in this case uh, this student class will be using the hash code of the object class, which is the default implementation of the hash code. So behind the scenes, the hash code is being generated for the two objects what we will be comparing. So the hash code can be same or different when it is using the objects class hash code. So it might be same as well, right? Since the hash code is being used from the object class, so the index will be generated different, and so it may also fall to the different bucket. So it will be treated as a different object. So here the equals of these two will give false, which is not correct. So that is why we should write the new implementation of the hash code in the existing student class so that we can avoid this situation. So yeah, so that is why we always should both override.
Okay, what is the difference between base class and abstract class?
Base class and abstract class. Base class is kind of any normal class. So like it can be used to create objects, and it can have the methods fields, so that may be inherited by subclasses. So the base class may or may not be extended by other classes. So let's say we have a animal class, and which we treat as base class or parent class, and we can have the other derived classes. So let's say the dog class is there, so that can extend animal. So here we say animal like as a base class. So the properties of the base class will be available to the child class. So coming to abstract class, so that class it cannot be instantiated directly. The abstract class is intended to be subclassed, and it may contain abstract methods. It may not be also. So abstract methods are basically they don't have any implementation. So we cannot instantiate the abstract class, but the base class we can instantiate, and we can create object out of it directly. So yeah, so this is the difference between these two.
Okay, what is marker interface in Java?
Yeah, marker interface is like kind of empty interface. So it does not have any methods or anything. So it is kind of just the way of tagging or marking a class so that it can be treated differently by JVM, and JVM can understand that okay, something we have to do with this class or something. For example, we have serializable, we have clonable. So they are marker interfaces, whichever the class is implementing this serializable. By seeing that JVM knows that okay, so this class objects need to be converted to byte stream. And similarly, whenever we have marker interface clonable is there, so the JVM comes to know that okay, if uh, anyone is uh, anyone is performing some clone method on that object, so that will be allowed. But if that clonable is not implemented, in that case it will throw the exception that clone not supported or something. So this is what is the marker interface.
Okay, can we create our own custom marker interface?
Yeah, we can create it.
Okay, how?
Yeah, so first of all we will define the empty interface. so which will treat as a marker interface, and then we will have one class that will be using that marker interface. I mean that will be implementing that marker interface. Then we can write another class to check if a class implements the marker interface, then only we will perform some action. So normally we use instance of that we can use to identify it. So yeah, so that way we can do it.
Okay, what is volatile keyword?
Yeah, it is used in multi-threading environment. So volatile variables are like kind of signal to compiler that the multiple threads are interested on that specific variable which is attached with this volatile keyword, and it should not reorder its access. It also tells that not to take the cached value and always keep checking the volatile variable, like because multiple threads are updating, so the variable itself should be taken. And so it ensures visibility of changes to variables across multiple threads. So when a variable is declared as volatile, so it kind of provides a guarantee that any read of the variable will see the most recent write made to it by any thread. So yeah, so this is what the volatile keyword used for.
Okay, can we write functional interface without abstract method?
Without abstract method, no, we cannot write functional interface without abstract method.
Okay, why so?
Yeah, because this is the basic feature of functional interface. So if we are marking at the rate of functional interface for any interface, so it should must have at least it should must have exactly one abstract method, because that method only will be used with lambda expression and method referencing. So without any abstract method, an abstract method would not be considered functional.
Okay, okay, okay. Suppose we have one tree set, and in that tree set we are adding null, and one more object we are adding, let's say ABC. Okay, so we have one tree set, and it has two values in that. One is null and another one is ABC. Now we want to print it. So what will be the output?
So in this case, we will encounter runtime exception because the we have also added null here. So null values are not allowed in tree set. So it will throw error.
Okay, it will throw error at runtime or compile time.
No, it will throw error, I think, at runtime. So tree set basically uses a comparator internally, and which has compare to methods. So whenever we are going to use null with null compared to any other object, so at that point of time it will throw the null pointer exception. That is why uh, null is not allowed in this. So it will not throw error at compile time, but it will throw error at runtime because of this.
Okay, what happens if we put a return statement or any system.exit in the try or catch block? So will the finally block will still execute?
Finally block, yeah, the finally block will still execute even if we return a statement we write, or we write system.exit. So yeah, so finally block executes always. Yes.
Okay, what are the different components of microservices?
Yeah, there are various components of it. So service discovery is there, API gateway, then load balancer, then service registry, then the AOP is there, and then circuit breakers are there. So yeah, so these are the various components are there.
Okay, can you explain them in very brief?
Yeah, so as soon as any request is made, so it goes through the API gateway. So there the load balancer will be there. So that load balancer basically uh, is the place where like multiple requests will be coming. So its job is to route the all the requests to the different instances of the microservices. So through that API gateway, it goes to the discovery service. Like for example, Eureka is there, so it goes there, and there will be multiple instances of the microservices will be there. So whichever, so suppose any of the instances has the high traffic, so it just routes the, I mean, the other traffic to the different instances. URL of these instances will be dynamically generated. So this is how, yeah, so this is how the whole communication happens between the microservices and this load balancer and service discovery things comes into picture.
Okay, what is circuit breaker pattern?
Yeah, circuit breaker pattern is like it is used in microservices while communication. Suppose any microservice is down, so any microservice is not able to communicate with another microservice. So in that case, this circuit is broken. So we use hysterics for that, and using hysterics we write the fallback method. One microservice is not able to reach to another microservice, so in that case it will go to that fallback method, and whatever the logic is written, so that logic will be executed and that response will be sent back to the uh, whatever the response request has been made. Yeah, so this is what is the circuit breaker pattern.
Okay, what is fault isolation?
Yeah, fault isolation is a design principle in distributed system and software architecture that focuses on limiting the impact of failures within a system. So this ensures the failure in one component does not cause cascading failures in other parts of the system. So the main goal of this is to contain the failure within the faulty component and prevent it from the malfunctioning of entire system.
Okay, so what are the different ways you use to create a Spring Boot application?
To create a Spring Boot.
Yes.
Yeah, so we normally use Spring Boot initializer. So on their website, we can go there and we can mention whatever the uh, objects of that will be, like all dependencies and all we can add there, and that will generate the project for us, and that we can further import to our IDE. So that is the, I mean, best way, I will say. And but we can also generate it using the our IDE itself, like we have uh, STS or IntelliJ IDEA. So using that also we can generate the project.
Okay, any other ways also there?
Yeah, I think using command line interface also we can do it. So yeah, so these are the ways I am aware of.
Okay. Okay, what is a Spring Boot actuator and what are its advantages?
A Spring Boot actuator is a module that provides like production ready features. So we can monitor the health and environment checks, and other features also are there. So those things we can check uh, using actuator. So it provides various endpoints, like info is there, health is there, and metrics is there. So all that it provides. So we can use them to check the Spring Boot application.
Okay, what is Spring Boot profiles?
Yeah, Spring Boot profiles. provides a way to segregate parts of the application configuration and make it available to different environments. So like whenever we develop the application, so we need to develop it for the dev environment, QA or production. So suppose some of the properties we want to set for only for the dev environment, and some of them we want to keep it for QA or production. So in that case, we use application.properties or YAML file, and there we can give the like profiles.active. There we can give the profile name like dev or something, and that based on that the configuration will be loaded. So yeah, so that is what is the profiles.
Okay, so how do you handle the Spring Boot application exceptions? And how do you handle it globally?
Yeah, for that we use at the rate of controller advice annotation. So uh, so we can using that we can we can define the centralized exception handling mechanism in our controller. So we can give the method name, and on top of that there will be at the rate of exception handler will be there, and there whatever the exception is there, that exception class name we can give, and we can handle the exception globally like this way. Yeah.
So which build tool you use normally? Maven, Gradle, which one?
Yeah, I use mostly Maven.
Okay. Okay, what are the Maven build life cycles?
Maven build lifecycle. So we validate it, then compile, then test, package, then clean, install, then deploy. So yeah,
What is the default scope in Maven?
a default scope is compile. Yeah.
Okay, what is the Maven plugin? Have you ever used plugins?
Yeah, I have used. Yes.
Okay, and can you tell me why you have used and what did you achieve?
Yeah, I have used that for the assembly. So like we have the scenario like whatever the jars we generate, that should be in a specific format, like at some specific places the library should go, and at some specific places the resource file should go, properties file should go. So in that case we had given as a plugins assembly, and then we have one more assembly.xml was there, and in that assembly we have again written so how the package it should prepare. So yeah, in that case we used this plugins.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay, what is settings.xml? You know settings.xml?
Yeah. So this settings.xml is basically is there in .m2 folder under the users folder in C drive. So uh, that is used to define the global setting. So any kind of repository path we have to give, like for example in the companies uh, we give the company repository path. So normally the Maven downloads the jars from there, and that location is defined in this setting.xml. So we can give the customized local repository location. So yeah, so that is the use of this settings.xml.
Okay, okay. Okay, what is clustered and non-clustered index in SQL?
Yeah, clustered index determines the physical order of data in a table. So there can be only one clustered index per table, and it usually corresponds to the primary key. So when a clustered index is created, the data row are stored in the order of the index. In case of non-clustered index, it is a separate structure from data table. So it contains a sorted list of values and pointers to the corresponding data rows. So a table can have multiple non-clustered index and they do not affect the physical order of the data.
Okay, what is view in SQL and how it is different from the table?
Yeah, a view is a virtual table in SQL. So there is a separate section in the tool wherever we store the table and all. So there will be a separate section for the table and there will be a separate section for the view. So basically view is generated based on the underlying query. So there will be underlying query to the view and uh, whatever the result of that query will be there, that can be seen in the view. So basically it does not store data physically, but it provides a way to simplify like kind of complex queries and present the data in a specific format. So yeah.
Okay, then what is the stored procedures and how it is different from view?
Yeah, store procedures are only queries. So it is like kind of it is collection of one or more SQL statements. So it can be stored in database. So it can accept parameters and it can perform operations. So we can pass while running that stored procedure, we can pass our own parameter and it will accept that, and based on that, that query will be run and that result will be returned. So yeah, so this is the difference actually. Okay, okay.